Translating a demon's confession went wrong. Nosleep. The smell of mildew and old paper was the closest thing I had to comfort these days. My apartment, crammed with books salvaged from estate sales and academic cast-offs, was a fortress of forgotten languages. A fitting sanctuary for a man haunted by his own failures. I was Elias Thorne, a linguistics professor, or rather, a formerly esteemed one. Alcohol had eroded my reputation, chipped away at my marriage, and left me clinging to the fringes of academia, teaching introductory courses no one else wanted. My expertise, once sought after for deciphering ancient texts, was now mostly employed translating bathroom graffiti in obscure dialects. Then Dr. Vivian Holloway called. Vivian, a parapsychologist from Blackwood Asylum, a Gothic monstrosity nestled deep in the Pennsylvania countryside, was a colleague from my more reputable days. I remembered her lectures on the intersection of folklore and mental illness fascinating, if a little out there. Elias, I know this is unconventional, her voice crackled over the phone line, thick with static. But we have a situation here. A patient, Sarah Jenkins. She's exhibiting signs of, well, what appears to be demonic possession. I snorted, reaching for a half-empty bottle of scotch hidden behind a stack of dictionaries. Demonic possession. Vivian, with all due respect. I translate dead languages, not ghost stories. Hear me out, she pleaded. Sarah's speaking in languages we can't identify. Ancient dialects, possibly older. Professor Armitage mentioned you in his notes something about a linguistic key to understanding these phenomena. Armitage, my mentor, the man whose legacy I'd squandered. He died under mysterious circumstances a few years back, leaving behind a collection of cryptic notes and theories that bordered on the insane. I dismissed them as the ramblings of a brilliant mind gone senile. But now, send me the recordings, I said, the scotch already burning a path down my throat. No promises, Vivian, but I'll take a look. The recordings arrived the next day, a series of digital files on a USB drive delivered by a nervous intern. The asylum was shrouded in a perpetual twilight. If the pictures were anything to go by, a silhouette of decaying grandeur against a leaden sky. I plugged the drive into my ancient laptop, the whirring of the fan a pathetic counterpoint to the chilling sounds that soon filled my apartment. Sarah Jenkins' voice, distorted and raw, spewed forth a torrent of guttural sounds, punctuated by the rasping of inhuman breaths. There were echoes of Latin, certainly, but twisted, corrupted. Hints of Sumerian, too, a language I'd dedicated years to studying, interwoven with something older. Something that resonated deep in my bones, a primal dread that had nothing to do with linguistics. I spent the next few days hunched over my laptop, fueled by caffeine and the gnawing guilt of a life unfulfilled. The initial translations were fragmented, disjointed sentences that hinted at unimaginable violence, ancient rituals, and the kind of cosmic horror that Lovecraft had only dared to dream of. Blood of the innocent, the gate opened by the seven, the whispering darkness awaits its return. I showed the fragments to Vivian. She called me back, her voice trembling. That confirms some of what Sarah's been saying in her lucid moments. Elias, this is bigger than anything I've ever encountered. The nights became unbearable. I started having nightmares, vivid and visceral. I saw faces, distorted and leering, whispering promises of power and oblivion. I woke up in cold sweats, convinced I could smell sulfur in the air. Then came the shift, subtle at first. A darker humor, a sharper edge to my words, an increasing irritability with the outside world. I found myself drawn to disturbing images, grotesque artwork, accounts of ancient atrocities. The scotch became a constant companion, a shield against the growing unease. One morning, I woke up to find a series of strange symbols scrawled across my arm in what looked like dried blood. I had no memory of doing it. I called Vivian, my voice thick with fear. I think this is affecting me. I need to stop. No, Elias, you can't, she said, her voice desperate. We're so close. You're the only one who can understand what it's saying. Maybe there's a way to stop it. She introduced me to Father Michael, an aging exorcist with eyes that had seen too much. He arrived at my apartment with a worn, leather-bound Bible and an air of weary resignation. He listened to the recordings, his face growing increasingly grim. These are not the words of madness, Professor Thorne. These are the confessions of something ancient and evil. You are playing with fire. Vivian thinks I can find a way to stop it, I said, clinging to the hope that this was all just a bizarre delusion fueled by too much alcohol and not enough sleep. Father Michael shook his head. You are mistaken. Translating this, filth is not stopping it. It is feeding it. You are opening a door that should remain sealed. Detective Isabella Rossi showed up at my door a few days later, a no-nonsense woman with a weary expression and a notepad in hand. She was investigating a series of strange occurrences around Blackwood Asylum livestock mutilations, unexplained disappearances, reports of chanting in the woods at night. Professor Thorne, we understand you've been consulting with Dr. Holloway at Blackwood, she said, her eyes narrowed. Can you tell me what you've been working on? I hesitated, torn between my loyalty to Vivian and a growing sense of dread. I'm translating some audio recordings for research purposes. She pressed me, asking about the languages, the content of the translations. I deflected, offering vague answers, trying to downplay the disturbing nature of my work. Rossi didn't buy it. Professor, I've seen things in this case that defy explanation. Things that make me question everything I thought I knew. If you know something, anything that could help, you need to tell me. But I couldn't. I was too deep, too close to the truth. I was convinced that if I just finished the translation, I could understand the demon's weakness, its Achilles heel. I could find a way to banish it back to whatever hellish dimension it came from. The confession deepened, revealing more about the demon's origins, its motives, the specific ritual it used to enter the human world. It spoke of a pact made in blood, a sacrifice required to unleash its full power. Father Michael visited again, his face etched with worry. You must stop, Elias. This knowledge, it is poison. It is corrupting you. I can see it in your eyes. I ignored him, lost in the labyrinth of ancient languages and demonic pronouncements. The final segments of the translation were a torrent of blasphemy, a roadmap to unleashing chaos upon the world. The key it revealed was a vessel. Someone who knew the translation, someone who could speak the words of power. A willing sacrifice. I was almost finished. Just a few more lines. Sarah's condition deteriorated rapidly. She became violent, writhing in her bed, screaming in tongues I now understood all too well. Her eyes turned completely black. Father Michael attempted an exorcism. I could hear the chanting, the screams, the shattering glass, even from my apartment miles away. Then silence. Vivian called, her voice frantic. It's too strong, Elias. The exorcism failed. Father Michael, he's badly hurt. We need you. I went to Blackwood. I had to see Sarah to understand what I had unleashed. The asylum was a nightmare. Patients roamed the halls, their eyes vacant, muttering gibberish. Staff members huddled in corners, their faces pale with terror. The air thrummed with a palpable sense of dread. I found Sarah in her cell, chained to the bed, her body convulsing. Her eyes were still black, burning with an unholy light. Then she spoke, not in the guttural tongues of the demon, but in my voice. You should never have translated, she said, her voice a distorted echo of my own. Now the gateway is open. My head exploded with pain. I saw visions, fragments of the demon's memories, its insatiable hunger, its boundless hatred. I felt something alien crawling inside my mind, taking root, corrupting my thoughts. I tried to fight it, to resist the invasion. I remembered the fragments of the translation, the words of power, the demon's supposed weakness. I tried to speak them, to banish it back to the darkness. But the words came out twisted, corrupted. They were not a weapon, but an invitation. I looked up and saw Detective Rossi standing in the doorway, her gun drawn, her face a mask of horror. My reflection stared back at me, but it wasn't me. The hazel had gone dark. A chilling smile spread across my face. I looked directly at Detective Rossi and whispered in a voice that was both mine and something else entirely, "The gateway is open."